Well, welcome. Sorry, I've only got this mic. Welcome to this solemn time of gathering and prayer. Before we begin, we acknowledge that we meet on ground that has been cared for by the Gerhart and Gerhardt people. And together with the whole Uniting Church, we acknowledge our covenant relationship with First Nations people. Throughout the service, I invite you to remain seated as we sing so that we can stay in a reflective, contemplative stance. We begin with a song that takes us from the joy and celebration of Palm Sunday to the solemn events we remember today. Remain seated as we sing When His Time Was Over.
After they had shared the Passover meal, Jesus and his disciples went into a garden called Gethsemane. He was distressed and he said to his friends, "Sit here while I go further and pray." He asked Peter, James and John to be with him in his distress. He explained, "I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and keep awake for my sake." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that the hour of suffering would pass from him. Abba, Father, for you all things are possible. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I want, but what you want. He returned to his friends and found them sleeping. He said to Peter, "Simon, are you asleep? Could you not keep awake 1 hour? Keep awake and pray that you may not come into the time of trial. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Then again he went a little away and prayed, saying the same words. And once more he returned and found them sleeping, for their eyes were very heavy. When he woke them, they were ashamed and did not know what to say. It happened again a third time, and he said to them, "Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Enough. The hour has come. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up. Let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand."
Lord Jesus Christ, you show us the redemptive power of a life given willingly. The soldiers then took Jesus to the high priest, and all the chief priests, the elders and the scribes were assembled. Peter had followed at a distance, creeping right into the courtyard of the high priest. And he sat down with the guards and warmed himself at their fire. Now the whole council was looking for testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found nothing. Many people came forward to give false testimony against Jesus. "We heard him say, 'I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and in 3 days I will build another temple, not made with hands.' But the accounts that they gave did not agree, and therefore could not be used in a court of law. The high priest was frustrated, and he stood up and asked Jesus, "Have you no answer? Have you nothing to say about these charges brought against you?" But Jesus was silent and did not answer. Again, the high priest asked him, "Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One?" And Jesus calmly said, "I am." Outraged, the high priest tore his clothes and said, "Why do we still need witnesses? You have all heard his blasphemy. What is your decision?" And all of them on the council condemned Jesus as deserving death, and some began to spit on him, to blindfold him and then strike him, mocking him by saying, If you are the Messiah, tell us who just hit you." And then the guards took him over and beat him sorely.
As soon as it was morning, the council decided to hand Jesus over to Pilate, the Roman governor. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He answered him, "So you say." And then Pilate listened as the chief priest accused him of many things. And Pilate turned to Jesus and asked him, "Have you no answer to these charges brought against you?" But Jesus made no further reply, and Pilate was amazed. Now at the festival time, it was a custom for the Roman governor to release a prisoner at the request of the people. A man called Barabbas was in prison with the rebels who had committed murder during a recent insurrection against Rome. And when the people came with their request, Pilate suggested that he grant mercy to Jesus. And Pilate said to the people, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For Pilate could see that it was jealousy that motivated the chief priest's campaign against Jesus. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd, so they cried out for the release, Barabbas instead, puzzled by their response. And Pilate asked again, "But what do you wish me to do with the man you call the king of the Jews?" And the crowd shouted back, "Crucify him." And Pilate was shocked and asked them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But the crowd shouted at them all, "Crucify him." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas for them. And after flogging Jesus, he handed him over to his soldiers. And they clothed him in a cloak, and after twisting some thorns into a crown, they forced it on his head. They began saluting him, mocking him by saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." And they struck the head with sticks, spat upon him, and knelt down in homage to him. And after they had finished the mockery, they stripped him of the cloak and put his clothes back on. And then they led him out to crucify him.
Lord Jesus Christ, you show us the redemptive power of a life given willingly. We sing now, create in us a clean heart, O God. And now we take a moment to reflect on the cruelty that is part of the crown of thorns. And we sing as we meditate, O sacred head sore wounded.
They compelled a passer-by who was coming in from the country to carry his cross. It was Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Finally, they arrived at the place of execution. It is called Golgotha, which means the place of a skull. They offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "Aha! You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross."
Lord Jesus Christ, you show us the redemptive power of a life given willingly. And so we sing, "Were you there?"
When evening had come, and since it was the day of preparation, Joseph of Arimathea, respected member of the council, went bravely to Pilate and asked him for the body of Jesus. Pilate wondered if he were already dead, and summoning the centurion, he asked him whether Jesus could be certified as dead. Once the centurion verified Jesus' death, Pilate granted the body to Joseph. Then Joseph brought a linen cloth and taking down the body, wrapped it in the linen cloth and laid it at the tomb that had been hewn out of the rock. He then rolled a stone against the door of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where the body was laid.
Lord Jesus Christ, you show us the redemptive power of a life given willingly. And now we'll sing those last two verses of Were You There? At the cross, Jesus says a free yes to the fullness and to the frailty of humanity. Today and tomorrow, we are invited to keep watch with Jesus, because it was in this time that he entered into the mystery of God's suffering with the world. Each one of us is invited to journey with him into the darkness and through the night, and to know that in our humanness, in our brokenness, we participate in the cross of Jesus Christ. And our own limited lived experience becomes the place where God reveals himself to us. We're going to close with the beautiful song, Jesus, Remember Me When You Come Into Your Kingdom. And in the true Taizé tradition, we're going to continue singing it for as long as there are people in the room. As we sing, I invite you to come to get a handful of herbs and flowers, to sprinkle them on the cross and on the cloth, and then quietly to make your way out of the building, continuing in that special space in your heart where God speaks to you. I suggest that people don't have a chat in the foyer today, that if you want to have a conversation on the way out, to do so out in the driveway, just so that we can maintain that space. And then we will regather at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning and celebrate the journey beyond death into new life. So as we sing, come forward in your own time. Release a handful of herbs and flowers. And you might have some words that you wish to say in your own heart as you sprinkle.